Hi, I'm Jonathan Oxer, and this is Walktime blog number 10, Print Your Own Weapons. Last week I did a talk at Open Source Developers Conference up in Canberra about, well, it was titled Freedom for Atoms, and it was covering issues related to openness or freedom in terms of design and manufacturing of physical objects. Software developers are now pretty familiar with the idea of open source for software, but it's also a rapidly growing area for hardware, which I'm sure many of you already know about. So, one of the parts of the talk that got the most interest was actually the section talking about 3D printers and some of the changes that have taken place over the last 18 months or so, because there have been rapid developments in terms of resolution and material that can be printed, like different substrates and different things that can be deposited, multiple print heads, so you can do multi-material objects and things like that. Now the 20-second recap, for those who don't know what a 3D printer is, it's essentially an object that sits on your desk and you send it a design file for a 3D object, and it manufactures the object for you on the spot. So it has a little extrusion head. They have different types of heads depending on what they want to deposit. The typical ones that are built by hobbyists at home use plastic. So they melt a plastic feedstock to a couple of hundred degrees and extrude it in a very thin filament, which is placed down in different positions to build a 3D object. It's like sculpting in 3D, but under computer control. There are also other systems that do things like deposit cells, and you can also do metal deposition and ceramic and a whole lot of other things as well. We have to stop for a minute because there is someone doing some mowing just up here. Back in a moment. And we're back. I love the smell of freshly cut grass. It's great. Yeah, that's right, 3D printers. So what it means is that people can share designs for things. Like if you have a design for a little object of some kind, a plastic part for something, you can publish your design on a site such as thingiverse.com. Other people can download the design and run it through their 3D printer and they can recreate the same part. So it allows sharing of designs for 3D objects as easily as sharing word processing documents or artwork or whatever else that traditionally you would do in 2D and share via the internet. Now, the part of the talk that got people's attention is a little controversy that's arising at the moment on the Thingiverse website. It started when a user uploaded a part or a design file for a part of a weapon, specifically an AR-15 assault rifle. So an AR-15 is an extremely common rifle design that's used mainly in the US but elsewhere around the world. It's the basis for the M16, which is used by the US military quite extensively. It's an extremely popular weapon, and it's used a lot by sporting hunters in a non-full automatic form, so just single-shot form. But it's still substantially the same design as the M16 assault rifle. And so a member of Thingiverse uploaded a design for a magazine, like a 5-shot magazine. So that allowed anyone to download this and print out a magazine. They could load ammunition into it and they could print it out, load it into a weapon and use it, which is kind of freaky. And it's fully functional. People had printed it, tested it, it worked. So someone else also uploaded a hand grip, which is a static part of the weapon, but it's also a fairly important part. And so, sorry about this, I've got a few obstacles today. So, this started a bit of a discussion in the comments section on Thingiverse about whether it's okay to upload designs for weapons. And if people can download a weapon and print it in their own home, what does that mean for the future of society? Anarchy is coming. And just to really prove the point, another user then uploaded a part of an AR-15 called the lower receiver. Now what makes the lower receiver really interesting is that it is the central structural element of the weapon. It is the part into which the stock screws, the trigger mechanism runs through it, the grip screws into it, the magazine clips into it, and on the top you have the upper receiver, which is what the barrel mounts into and where the firing chamber is. Now, what makes this particularly interesting is that in the US, the distribution of AR-15 assault rifles is governed by the lower receiver. You can buy every single other part of the weapon anonymously online or via mail order, and the way that you have a fully registered weapon is by buying a lower receiver. Now, if you can print out your own lower receiver at home and then anonymously source all of the other parts, you can build yourself a complete assault rifle and nobody will even know about it. So that in itself is kind of interesting. And I find myself in a difficult position here because I'm not the sort of person to advocate free and easy access to weapons, but I also find myself thinking I can't really regulate, I can't really speak out against it because it's speaking out against freedom of information and sharing of knowledge. Now, there's always going to be some knowledge that can't be shared. There are always going to be state secrets and various things like that. But this is getting into a really grey area. So what do we do when people can download designs for weapons off the internet and print them out at home? Now, the next day after I gave that talk, my old friend Arjen Lentz pointed something out to me, which is that this is not a new problem. Technically, anyone has been able to do this for quite a long time. If you had the right tools, knowledge, you could have made your own lower receiver for quite some time. The thing is that this changes the accessibility of the approach. For example, previously you would have needed a moderately expensive chunk of aluminium as your starting stock. Now you can do it with about $2 worth of plastic. And previously you would have needed CAD files that would have been relatively hard to get. Now you can download an STL file from Thingiverse, run it through open source software, and you've got the full design. Previously you would have needed a $50,000 3-axis CNC mill. Now you can do it using a 3D printer that you can make yourself at home out of parts scavenged from other things. So it's gone from a problem that could be solved with money and expertise, essentially, the skills of someone who can manufacture guns anyway, almost into script kiddie land. It's a place where you can download the file, run it through this open source 3D printer, and you've got yourself the part. What to do? I don't know. Interesting times. So I'll post some links to relevant things. I'd be interested to know what people think about this topic. See ya.